Sri Bhaktivedanta International Society of Krishna Consciousness.
Hare Krishna. Shri Ganga Prasad Prabhu, please. You may unmute, accept my humble obeisances. Our glories to Gurudev, our glories to Sri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Seems he's having some technical difficulties.
I guess so.
To arrive from India.
There is a long history that I came here with a determination to start a temple in New York.
Hare Krishna, Ganga Prasad Prabhu.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, good. My gadgets are failing. If you can hear me, I'm struggling to get the video on, but I'm here. Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam.
Jai, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to Sri Prabhupada.
All glories to Guru and Goranga.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Just one more minute, and if I get it, all right. If I don't get it, then I'll do without the video.
Okay.
I am not very much hopeful that I wrote one poetry that Krishna, why you have brought me in this country, what can I do? I shall convince them, how they will understand if they are happy. I wrote that poetry. I do not know what for I have come here, why Krishna has brought me here. So, but because you have brought me here, must be there is some purpose. All right, you make me dance as you like.
Srila Prabhupada writes in his Jaladuta diary, I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Lord Shri Krishna. This was the time when youngsters in America had rebelled against the authorities. There were a lot of protests in the country, and they were heavily into drugs, intoxication, gambling, meat eating. Srila Prabhupada wondered, will they ever be able to understand the message which he has so painstakingly carried from east to west? He pleaded and begged Lord Krishna to inspire them to take up the teachings of Bhagavad Gita.
The Swami was a friend of my husband's father, Mr. Agarwal, in Agra, India. And he asked me to sponsor the Swami, and that's what I did. And that's why he came to our house in the middle of the night one night. He stayed with us for a month in Butler. The Swami came with so few possessions. He came with the clothes he had on his back. He had a typewriter, and he had his books. And he had a bag of cereal. The Swami brought a pan with him in which he cooked his food, and in fact cooked our lunch too. Imagine coming to a country on the other side of the world with so little, and yet he came with so much in himself. When he left, he was just oceanic. Oceanic. He just seemed to take in the entire universe when he laughed, and he laughed a lot.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, 100.
Krishna. Sade Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Okay, I think we are good to go. Hare Krishna.
These are part of the symptoms of Kali Yuga.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
So you just give me the required excuse.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Without further ado, we're going to put the verse on the screen, and then you may take it from there.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Om Gyantimirandaksya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshuro Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Sri Chaitanya Nanobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambitam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanendayo Shnevebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Paschatyaide Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Sigora Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanan Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narautamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasa Chatudaya Mudirayet Nasta Preya Swabradesu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavate Utamas Loke Bhakti Bhavati Nastikehi. I'd like to formally welcome everybody present on the platform now and give special appreciation and thank you to the organizers for affording me this opportunity. And I beg for everybody present blessings and that I can be able to do this service for my purification and also for the benefit of the audience. The senior Vaishnavas present also, I beg that you give me special mercy to be able to execute this and represent you. Hare Krishna. So we're reading our text from SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. Chapter 17 is titled Punishment and Reward of Kali, and we'll be reading from text number 14. Jane anagasya gam yunjam sabatwasya chadma bayam sadunam badram evasyat asadudamane krite jamanagasya agam yunjam Savatwasya cha madbayam sadunam badrameva syat asadu damane krite jane nagasya gam yunjam savatwasya cha madbayam sadunam badrameva syat asadu damane krite. Word for word transliteration. Jane, to the living beings. Anagasi, those who are offenseless. Agam, suffering. Yonjam, by applying. Sabata, anywhere and everywhere, Asya of such offenders, Cha and Madbayam, fear me, Sadunam of the honest persons, Badram, good fortune, Eva, certainly, Syat, with all will take place. Asadu, dishonest miscreants. Damani, cupped. Krite, being so done. Translation and explanation by Divine Grace C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ho. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must hear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive head of states. But when the executive head of states are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. When the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respect to the peaceful, offenseless citizens and of the state, offenseless citizens of the state. And the devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless. And therefore, it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Thus, automatically, there will be peaceful, offenseless citizens. Then the only duty of the king will be to curb dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over human society. Mukankaroti wa chalam, pangam langayati girim, ya kripatwa mahawande, si guru dinatarinam, ya kripatwa mahawande, Paramananda Madhava, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ishvara. So the text you are reading, basically from text number 1 to number 16, is Maharaj being an ordained king does appropriately chastise Kali. And this is very relevant to the text we are reading now. And the chapter is titled Punishment and Reward of Kali. But administratively, punishment and reward, they are very relevant to the principal definition of administration. If it is mentioned that administration means putting man and material into productive relationship, it means output determines reward and punishment is determined by underproductivity. This is administrative principle, basic principle. So you reward excellence and you punish underperformance. In the text we are reading, we can see the relevance of what is in chapter 4, text number 8 of Bhagavad Gita, because two statements in the sloka are very relevant. Savato and sadhunam. Savato is mentioned in the word-for-word translations anywhere and everywhere. What will happen everywhere and everywhere? There will be good fortune everywhere. And there will be peace, there will be happiness. So that is first thing. Then the second thing is sadhunam, those who are offenseless, peaceful citizens. These are the two key points from this text. And if this is to be achieved, something has to be done by the leading class. And so in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text number 8, Krishna himself exemplified this act. 4:8, Krishna said, Paritranaya sadhunam, vinasaya cha duskritam, dhamma samstapanataya, sambhavami yuge yuge. If you take this very sloka and place it to the text you are reading, you see that it relates very closely and it gives a lot of understanding. First is to deliver the pious, which is the way of rewarding them. Meaning that when you do spiritual activity or devotional service, like Krishna said in Gita, Nehabi Kamana Sosti Pratavya Yona Vidyate. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. So if there's no loss or diminution, automatically there will be benefit. And the benefit is the reward. So Krishna said, he comes to deliver the pious. And also to annihilate the miscreant, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion. I see this text very much in the purport of Prabhupada. Why? If the miscreants are not checked, like Krishna came to check them, out of the complaint of Lord Brahma and Bhumi, then automatically the world will be bedecked with a lot of turmoil and lack of peace and prosperity also. So Prabhupada in chapter 3 of text, chapter 3, text number 10, he makes a statement that there's a design God has for every of his creation. And in that text 10, he says, Sahasya Yagya Praja Sristwa, Purovacha Prajapati, Anena Prasabi Swadam, Esavosu Isa Kamadu. In the beginning, the Lord of all creation sent forth generation of men and demigods along with sacrifice. Sacrifice is the work. for Vishnu, work for Vishnu, and bless them by saying, be thou happy. So happiness is already a package that God has designed for his creation, because his performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation by performing prescribed duty, which is sacrifice. And then in 11, he mentions that the demigods, being pleased by sacrifice, will also please you. And by the cooperation between men and demigod, prosperity will reign for all, not for some people, for all. So this is the original design. And any little deviation or tangent change from this concept will create what you call pandemonium. And in an atmosphere where there is rancor and acrimony, nobody is benefited. But then the responsibility of putting state in order rests in the hand of the king. That is his ordination. The king is like any other human being, but because the rod of leadership has been placed in his hands, it becomes distinguished, because his life is to represent the desire, the plan of God. And so for the king, the approach of the king to be able to protect the sinless in society, it applies the administrative acronym called TEAR, T-E-A-R. TEAR also is same thing as chastisement of miscreants. But for the devotee, the TEAR is very, very soothing. Why? The T-E-A-R represents, first, the leadership must be able to instill and also enjoy the trust of the citizens. So T stands for trust. The leadership should instill trust in the citizen by the kind of approach he extends towards them. And it makes the citizens also confident that, yes, we have our leader at our back. Our leader has our back. And then E stands for encouragement. The leadership, because he acts according to the principles of religion, and then prosperity flourishes in society, the citizens are encouraged to follow the principles of religion, and then atmosphere will be peaceful. And for A, for whatever they have done, leadership extends appreciation. When people are appreciated, they can do more. And when they are not appreciated, they are demoralized. So an expert leader or administrator should be able to make the people's morale or impetus be on the high side always by appreciation. And the last one is respect. The king applies this, and it becomes a foundation for the society to function. And that is why Krishna came to exhibit this, instill trust in those devotees who have been worshiping him. We can see in the case of both Devaki and Vasudeva. In their previous life, they have performed very, very tremendous austerity. And in appreciation, God appeared before them. So this appearance is one other thing that King Parikshit is doing now. If you look at the chapter very closely and the preceding one, he has to tour around the whole of his kingdom, moving around. He's not a sit-tight leader. He moves around. And what do you benefit by that? In the course of my working experience, I have one of my directors who always, he will go out with his driver, always. And so his colleagues were admonishing him because he's an expatriate. Why are you always going out with your driver, drinking and having fun? That it will bring about familiarity and he will not listen to you. But the director said, if you don't mingle with them, you will not be able to feel their pulse, and you will not know when and how to help them. So you can see that If Parikshit was sitting in his palace, he may not be able to have extended himself to observe this scene where the cow is being mutilated and the perpetrator, and then, I mean, the bull being mutilated and the cow also crying. He will not observe it. So he was moving around. So the important thing is that as leaders, even if we don't move, as he put in Ramayana, you must have spies who furnish you with information in your kingdom, because it is with information that will be able to lead the people properly. But the first information is the information from the scripture. That's why in 3:27 he said, whatever a great man does, come on, when we follow. And in the Prabhupada said, so such great leaders, they owe their dependent great responsibility. And so they must be conversant with the scriptural codes, so that they will be able to lead according to the scriptural codes. But in course of applying the scriptural codes, they must exhibit this acronym, TIA. Trust must be there. Prabhupada said, you cannot work together if there's no love and no trust. They have to be encouraged according to their disposition. Krishna himself approved of this when he said, Chato Vanya Maya Sriswa Guna Kama Vibhagasa. I created this social order. And people have to be understood or identified according to the mood influencing them and the duty that are ascribed to that mood, guna and karma. So when people are encouraged according to their proclivity and appreciated for the application of their proclivity with respect, you see that there will be very, very high morale in the performance of the subject. Along with that, the leader or the king must not compromise, making frantic efforts to curb the excesses of those who are not feeling inspired to lead according to the ordinances or law of society. That's what this text is telling us. And what Prabhupada opened the purport with is very, very striking. Prabhupada said, dishonest miscreants, not are miscreants. In chapter 7, he said, those miscreants who are lowest among mankind, miscreants, they will not do what is prescribed in the scripture. And Krishna said, they will not surrender. Because of cowardly and impotent executive order of state, they flourish. So this is an admonition for people who are in the position of leadership and they are leading people. You will not tolerate and be cowardly. Prabhupada himself in the Prabhupada, one of the Prabhupada, whether it's Shikshamrita, Prabhupada was saying that my Guru Maharaj never compromised. I am not compromising. And my followers should also not compromise. That's what it means. You have to catch the bull by the horn and deal diligently with what is expected. And Prabhupada in the next line of the purpose said, when the executive head of states are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. So this, you have to nip it in the bud. That's the English word. Nip it in the bud. And Srila Krishna Prabhupada himself had mentioned to us that when there are crises, you don't wait until they become inferno. You attend to them at the early stage. Otherwise, it becomes an issue that you have to start spending all your time, energy, and resources to deal with. So nip it in the bud in time. So when the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically, all good fortune will follow. All good fortune will follow. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 also, Krishna was mentioning that, Prabhupada was mentioning the purpose, that this process is an opportunity. The material creation by the Lord of creation is a chance offered to the conditioned soul to come back to Godhead. It's a chance. And society is built around that premise. That if society is run smoothly, according to scriptural injunction, and the leadership is up to their responsibility, what will happen? In sociology, it calls, there will be enabling environment for people to strive, whether in business, in religion, in any field of endeavor of life, they will strive if the opportunity is given to them. But then, if there is no good population, there will only be chaos. And the first person to blame when there is chaos is the leader, like Prabhupada is saying here. It is the duty of the leader. I said before, it is the prime duty of the king or executive head of state to give protection in all respect to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. First duty. In Nigeria today, we are seeing the reverse of this. It is not about castigating anybody, but if the prime rule is like those who are in the medical field, they take oath of service, that their oath is to protect life. The head of state, when he takes oath of office, he takes the oath of office to protect the citizenry, to protect lives and property, and to protect the sovereignty of the country. But what we are facing here now is that there are already a lot of infiltration in our environment, and lives and property are not secured in any way, which is contrary to what this scripture is saying. So this is very relevant for us. And for those of us who are in the preaching field, if we find a very convenient way to sell this concept, that's why BHAGAVATAM is said to be those who have lost their ways in Kali Yuga due to the dense darkness of ignorance, they will find light. This is part of the light society needs today. And Prabhupada said further that then the only duty of the king, if the people have become very peaceful, their mind is settled, what will happen? King will only to curb dishonest miscreants. And that will bring about peace and harmony all over society. How does he curb miscreants? 3 C's is what he applied. The 3 C is contact, which is what we said. Pariki Maharaj is doing, he reached out. The leader or the executive head of state, he reached out, even to the criminals. That's why you see that the Rupa Goswamis, they are said, Dira Adira. They are popular both between the gentle and the ruffian. They are not one-sided. They are popular. Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyo Koro. They are popular both with the gentle and the ruffian. So the king reaches out to the miscreants. They know that the king is there. And one very good example of this is King Vina. King Vina, as a debauchee king as he was able to put criminality under control. This was not be visible because of the level of the holiness activity that he was performing. So what happened? When the Brahmana became so offended, they staged the first coup d'etat that is mentioned in Bhagavatam. They killed the king, but immediately after killing the king, they discovered that the insurgents of miscreants became very high. Then they appreciated, oh, you mean as bad as the king was, he was able to keep miscreants at bay. And in order to be able to curb the level of insurgency of miscreants, they decided to install another king. To install another king. And what happened? They have to still institute restitution or revival through churning the body of King Vina. When his thigh was churned, Bahuka came, same personified, and then Prithu and Atri manifested ultimately. And we can see leave of this also in the leadership of King Prithu and Atri. It was all about keeping the state under proper platform for there to be leveling playing ground or enabling environment for the citizens to strive first in having healthy life, and two, to be able to pursue higher values of godliness. King Prithu did this even to the extent that Bhumi, Mother Earth, who is a demigod, has to be chastised by the king for non-performance. You see where it comes in. You have to reward excellence, and then you chastise underperformance. The king chastised Bhumi and was even at the verge that he will kill her. Bhumi disguised as a cow, ran hither and thither, but ultimately had the opportunity to submit herself and explain herself. And when she explained herself that the citizens are very sinful, that's why she's, and their sinfulness to the extent that they're not performing the prescribed sacrifices. And so the demigods are not getting their benefits. And because of that, I withdraw the seats. And pleaded with the king not to kill him, but to give protection to him. And they enter into a truce, and the king requested of her what will be done to pacify you so that they will be flourished. And he told the king how to level the earth, how they can do agriculture and all of this. So the king reaches out by contacting, that's the first C. Second, by conscientizing, making people see in the light of what they are doing. That's why you see in today's correctional center, we have what they call either remand home or correctional center, prison house, where people are sent to so that they can have remorse for what they are doing. That's why in every society, you have prison houses. Okay? You contact them, you conscientize them, and if they still remain adamant, then you confront them. The 3 C's for chastising: contact, conscientize, and confront. If you don't confront it headlong, you'll be labeled as what Prabhupada said, cowardly or impotent executive head of state. You must be bold to responsibility. And so when these are applied, what will happen? You have good population, like Prabhupada gave in his purport in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, text number 40, where he said, Adama Bhagavad Krishna, Pradusyanti Kulasriya, Shishtishu, Dusdes Vasneya, Jate Vana Shankara. That when irreligion is prominent in the family circle, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of it comes unwanted progeny. In the purport, Prabhupada said, good population in human society is basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. That's how Prabhupada opened that purport. Good population in human society. And how does good population come? Prabhupada went further down. He said, therefore, both the children and women require protection. The text you are reading also is saying protection for those who are obedient and gentle, and they are not flaunting the laws. You protect them. And Prabhupada further says that how do they give them protection? The family, elder members of the family, and the king is the elders in society. How does he protect them? By engaging them in various religious practices. You cannot introduce irreligious practices and you want to have good population. It's not possible. So the modern day civilization and advancement where we have slaughterhouses, brothel, liquor bar vendors, and on and on and on. How do you think there will be peace? It doesn't run in the same line with what Prabhupada is saying here. So when the king has been able to subjugate the subject appropriately, you find out that there will be a very conscientious attempt. Prabhupada ended it there. He said that everybody should be, he said, the devotee of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is the prime duty of the state to arrange, this is the word, arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. There should be arrangement. And that's why in that purport, Prabhupada is saying it is the responsibility of the elder members of society to engage them. Why do they engage them? In various religious practices. Various religious practices. And that is why you see in Dwarka, this is what was obtainable. When you were reading about finding prostitutes in Dwarka, obviously you will be bewildered. In Krishna's kingdom, also there are prostitutes, but then that is part of the arrangement to make sure that even if people are living according to their own proclivity, they are still offered opportunity to be inclined to befriend Krishna, to love Krishna, and to serve Krishna. So when this is done, you see that you have a very peaceful, progressive society, like Prabhupada said, is the basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. So how does this become applicable in our own circumstance? Because we have done the philosophy, the theory, how does it become applicable in our own circumstance? Prabhupada offered us all the platform, all that is required to be peaceful as individuals and to have a peaceful environment and to have a peaceful society. Prabhupada gave everything. All the spiritual activities that Prabhupada introduced to us, if we apply them, because you cannot give what you don't have. If we apply them and we become what is said here in the purport, citizens, give protection in all respect to peaceful, offenseless citizens. If you look at the devotees in our society are labeled for one thing. They are very peaceful people. They are not disturbance to society. Sometimes also they say we are very withdrawn from society because that is the kind of lifestyle we are giving. But we are not giving that lifestyle to become docile. We are giving that lifestyle as a platform for us to be able to reach out to people, to showcase to them and make them know that they can also be partakers of what we have. So we have to reinforce our spiritual practices, become offenseless citizens, and also be peaceful. What did Krishna say will make one peaceful? In Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 29, what did Krishna say is the formula for peace? Bhuktaram, Yagyata Pastam, Savaloka, Maheshwara. Once you're able to do this, you identify Krishna as the supreme proprietor of all demigods and of all planets, and then a person in full consciousness of knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerity, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the beneficiary and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Knowing is one, but engaging in Krishna's service enhances that peace. So if we take our Krishna conscious practice very seriously, it's not like we are going to do who is better than the other. According to your capacity, please do what you know will enhance your level of spiritual advancement, and Prabhupada gave us everything. Paramount in what Prabhupada gave was Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So that is one of the beneficial things on this platform, that people are given the opportunity to hear even in their busy schedules. If they make time available for this, they hear. And once they hear and they are able to chant, in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is intrinsic part of every living entity. So once they are offered the opportunity, automatically they will be purified from the material encumbrances, and the original Krishna consciousness will reawaken. So by hearing and chanting, this will happen. So that is how we apply it, that we have this knowledge, we apply it, we become peaceful citizens, law abiding, and what will happen? We become recipients of what Krishna said, to deliver the pious. Praditranaya sadhunam. So automatically, we are going to enjoy unlimited protection, unlimited provision, and unlimited spiritual advancement if we do this. And to do that, we must be very, very conscious that we don't accommodate, compromise things that are not going to make us sadhus. As sadhu, damane krite, we will not become objects to be curbed in society. We should be objects to be encouraged. So in the Bible, there's this prayer, please make us instruments, make us vessels of honor and not vessels of indignation. It is simple. It doesn't require so much of effort, but it is achievable, even though it looks seemingly very difficult. But Krishna was telling Arjuna, by constant practice and detachment, it is possible. So this is what I have to share in my little understanding of the text, because purport is very short, but it's very powerful. And it is very relevant for leadership and for creating peaceful and prosperous society where people can make spiritual progress. Hare Krishna. I don't know if there are comments or corrections.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace Ganga Prasad Prabhu. Very scholarly class, and I believe devotees may have questions or comments. So devotees, if you do, please indicate that by using the hand emoji to ask your question or make your comment. Prabhuji, I have a question from the verse. The verse, the verse says, whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer. Oh, sorry, I mean the purport. The first line, dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of state. Now, my question is, heads of state that are coward and impotent, which means they are unable to execute what they are elected or voted to do. What causes these leaders to become coward and impotent? What is the root cause of this cowardice and impotence? General, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Very, very relevant question. In Sasas Rupma writes a book, The Causes of Fall Down in Devotional Service. He mentioned many things, but he said one major thing is Hridaya Dobalia, weakness of the heart. Okay? Weakness of heart can be caused out of faithlessness in the revealed knowledge, or personal weakness because of inability to follow, or situation where one has compromised. If you are accepting bribe, can you tell people not to take bribe? I remember I one purport, I think it's 327, 321. Prabhupada said the leader cannot tell the people to stop smoking if he smokes. I think that's a very striking instance for your question. So they cannot do because they are doing the wrong thing. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. So weakness of heart or impotency or cowardness is born out of weakness of the heart. Your conscience cannot allow you to do the right thing because you are already compromised and people know it. In chapter 9 also, Prabhupada said that you cannot, a Mahatma is not rubber stamps. A Mahatma is not rubber stamps. In this verse, the description of Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of Mahatma is that he's already situated in the divine nature. He's not under the control of material nature. And how is this effected? Okay? Then in the next chapter, Prabhupada said the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. Always engage in chanting the glories of Lord. This is 9:14. Always engage in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of God. He has no other business. And we can see this in the example of King Yudhishthira. King Yudhishthira was living what he has learned, and so it was easy for him to execute whatever he has to do. And the citizens were benefiting. In one of the purports of the leadership of King Yudhishthira in Hastinapur, he said that even when he imposes taxes on the citizens, they happily allow it because they know that he has created the enabling environment for them to strive and flourish. So if it's taken from them, they are not disturbed. But is that the situation we have in the world today? The leadership, especially in the third world developing country, they amass all the economy and they send them outside. They have bank accounts in Switzerland, in America, in Britain. They have properties. Their children are schooling abroad, and people are in abject poverty here. No good road, no water facility, no electricity, no food. So can such leaders have the guts to be able to tell you that this is what is to be done that is right? Rather, they will be manipulative. That's what we are saying today. So I guess from the little I've cited, you on your own also can deduce why people cannot do what they have sworn to do. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the beautiful answer. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyone with any question or comment? Prabhuji Matakis? Well, Prabhuji, if I may go back to the purport. You know, Srila Prabhupada's purports are very wonderful all the time. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying that devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless. So the day before yesterday, Her Grace Rukmini Devi gave class, and she was emphasizing on the importance of avoiding offenses. And as devotees or aspiring devotees, we all know how dangerous it is to commit offense. But my question, of course, it was answered, but I still had a follow-up question, which I didn't. And since this class also talks about offenses, my question is, who decides that whatever took place is offensive? In other words, I was given the example of Rupa Goswami when he was having his meditation. And this, I think his name is Krishna Das.
Astavakra.
Was it Astavakra? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of his, excuse me to say, he's kind of disfigured. So he thought that Rupa Goswami was laughing at him. Rupa Goswami had not even opened his eyes. And Sanatana Goswami told him that you lost your vision of the Supreme Lord because Ashtavakra took offense. Now, how does Rupa Goswami prevent Ashtavakra from feeling offended? So my question is, if everyone says that offenses are dangerous, do not commit offense, which we all accept. But if there are other situations that you are not committing offense, but the person feels that you've offended him, and just by the mere fact that he or she feels offended, you suffer for it, then what is our state? Where is our lifeline?
Very good question. Thank you very much. Our life wire is a thin line, and that thin line is centered around mindfulness. Prabhupada said in Upadeshamrita that Krishna consciousness is like walking on razor edge. Any slight neglect, you will be caught. So sometimes even unconsciously, we err. Like the example you are giving now, it took Asavakra going to report to Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami coming to update Sanatan that I don't know why my meditation broke. And he met Asavakra there and they talked it over. And he made it know I did not in any way intend. So what is the lesson to learn? Even when we're in a very exalted, ecstatic situation, we should be mindful that somebody somewhere may not feel the way we are feeling and misconstrue us. So in one of the qualities of the, it's a one who does not put other living entities into anxiety. How do you do that? You have to be very mindful. If in the end, your mindfulness is not sufficient, definitely, because you have made conscientious efforts to be mindful, there will be divine intervention on your behalf. So mindfulness is one single word I can put that we make conscientious effort to it. And that is also a sign that we are making spiritual advancement. We are very careful because it is only when we are not making progress that we are reckless. We don't care. But whether we care or not, there's consequence. Prabhupada said, you will be caught by the razor. Okay? But when one is making spiritual advancement, you see that he is very careful, very, very careful not to cross other people's paths. You can see that in the example of Negrari the hunter. Negrari the hunter was mercilessly. Please unmute the unmuted person. Negrari the hunter was. Please help mute the unmuted person. He was ruthlessly killing and enjoying sea animals, half dead. But the same hunter, and that is because he was very degraded. He was careless. And even when Narad Muni came to accost him, he harassed him. He said, you Swami, you sage, this is not the place of preaching, go somewhere else. Still offensive. But when Narad Muni processed him, and he became submissive and surrendered. The same regard the hunter when Narad Muni came to visit him with his sage friend to offer obeisance to them. He was mindful that he doesn't lie on an insect. Okay? Jad Bharat also the same thing. Mindful that he doesn't step on insects. So that we are reckless or we don't care or not mindful is a sign that we are yet to make the required amount of advancement. So we should be mindful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. His Grace Ganga Prasad Prabhu. Mother Saki Devi, please, you may unmute. And I must say, Ganga Prasad Prabhu, thank you so much for the answer. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandava
Krishna.
Pranam. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Prabhupada, bless to Guru and Garanga.
All glories to Guru and Goranga, all glories to the Prabhupada. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to be here. So I have a question pertaining to what you said about the government and if they're not taking care of the citizens properly. So, like right now in America, there are certain things that are happening with like infrastructure breaking down and water supply to certain communities. People don't have clean water to drink, and they'll neglect these people because they don't think these people are important, and they'll like make news about the Queen of England passing away, which would be more important than these people not having clean water. Or they don't allow certain people to move up in society because they don't think that's important either. And I'm wondering, like, is every single thing that happens to you in your life according to karma and past life situations, or is there a such thing as like an original sin?
Thank you very much, Mata. Your question is very appropriate. Just like Sutta Goswami said, because it's pertaining to Krishna consciousness and it's for the benefit of all. Yes, the leadership deficiency we are finding are born out of the fact that people are not God conscious. I said it in the course of the class, and I made reference to Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text 21. Leader must be conversant with the scriptural codes. And the first code Krishna gave us in Bhagavad Gita 2:13, you are not the body. The leaders you are referring to and their preference for the funeral of the queen is all on bodily conception. So what can you do about that? Rather we should spend more time in edifying, mortifying ourselves and becoming that change that we want to see. What is the change? We cannot make change in our society that is very degraded, but at least we can make a difference around ourselves, that we become so Krishna conscious that first, like the Prabhupada said in the purport, sinless, obedient citizens. We become that. And then if we live very simple life that Krishna consciousness has given to us, we make do with bad necessities of life, and we don't make propaganda that this must be there, this must be, because the modern civilization does not care about the citizens. This should be clear to everybody. I'm very sure in many parts of America, the concept now is DIY. If you want development in your environment, you do it yourself. If you're waiting for government to extend that, it may never happen. So you see a lot of self-help efforts going on to provide facilities in neglected environments. So that is how we can anchor it. And when you ask the question, is it because of our karma or not because of our karma, or there is original sin? Yes, all these are part of the answer, because to take material body alone is out of karma. Reaction for wanting to be independent of Krishna and to enjoy independence of Krishna. And once you are here, you will face birth, death, old age, and disease. Along with that is Adhyatmika Klesha, the reactions of the activities you perform with your body, mind, and senses, you will face it. Along with that, Adhibhotika Klesha, the reaction of other people's activity, you will face it. And also Adhidevika, the activities of the demigod, like hurricane, volcanic eruptions, and all of, you face it also. What is the original sin? Wanting to be away from Krishna. So yes, you're not wrong in that statement. It's our karma. And then it is because we have taken this material body, we have to face it. So that is why he said the solution is get out of here. Just make every frantic effort to get out of here. And you will not be discussing, because this place is Dukalayanam Aswasotam. It's a place of misery. Even if you experience certain succor or happiness at some time, it will not be long-lived. It is short-lived. So that is why we are very fortunate to have gotten this process of Krishna consciousness. And if we make judicious use of it, we will definitely will get out of these situations. I don't know if that makes any impact in your expected answer.
Yes, it does. And it's funny that you said it's a DIY. Is it, did I say that right? Do it yourself culture?
Yes,
And
it's do it yourself.
so
Self-help.
I have a question from that. So would it be the responsibility of devotees when they see other people suffering to go to that place to see how they can help? Is that what devotees are supposed to do? Like, say, like, for example, there's like hurricanes or fires or like some natural disaster where a lot of people are impacted. Is it the job of the devotees to go and like pass out prasadam and try to see how they can help?
Yeah, that is very appropriate. If we have the enablement, if we're in such an environment that we can do that, look like in Ukraine, the war is there and people are exiting. But devotees are still there doing food for life and giving shelter to those who are refugees. Yes, we can do that. But we have to also assess our circumstance because we may become also victims if we are not careful. But then being victim is no issue for us. Just like the Gopi said, heaven or hell makes no difference as long as Krishna is there. So yes, your comment is right. We should be handy for devotees. But what Prabhupada said in Nectar of Instruction, one of the Purport, I think text number 4, about the Dadati Griyanti principle, we have to give what we have. We may not make extra strenuous effort to give what is outside our own convenience. So Prabhupada said anything in connection with Krishna consciousness, we should offer. Prasadam is one of them, like you rightly said. Books are one of them. And then we'll go to them, do kirtan with them, like this. We can elevate their frame of mind by that. So yes, you're right.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, ma.
Thank you so much, Ganga Prasad Prabhu. Arichakra Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
All glories to Guru, all glories to Prabhupada.
All glories to Guru and Goranga.
And thank you for your class.
Thank you too for being there.
Now, when they start asking questions, then I begin to even forget the question that I wanted to ask. But
that's a nice one.
But the good thing is, even somebody asks question and I get another question from that person's question. So I will start from the second portion. The question that
Saki
just asked, that whatever happens to us, whatever is going on with us, is it because of our karma or some inherited sin or something? So my question is, during the class, you were elaborating on how the scripture is saying that when we have a good leader who is able to put things right, automatically things will be all right for everyone, the citizens. So when we begin to suffer, when things are not going on well, then it means that we have bad leadership. Now, again, if even something is my karma that I have to suffer a situation, I also understand that it is also my karma to come in contact with someone whose duty is to help me. Like previously, when I joined Krishna consciousness in the beginning, when even I see a beggar at the roadside begging for money or asking for something, I used to think that, oh, it's his karma. So why should I worry? Then later on, I came to realize that even though it's his karma, but it's also part of his karma that I come in contact with him. So when I come in contact with him and I don't perform my portion of his karma, then it means I'm sowing some bad thing to come and suffer later. So when someone is like someone is the head of state, and we all realize that this person is not acting properly, this person is doing the wrong thing, and we say, oh, just forget that, we should close our eyes to it and just perform the little that we can do, knowing perfectly that our little will be completely insignificant. You might not even have the capability of even doing something. For instance, you were talking about when infrastructure is bad, the road is bad, everything is falling apart let's say in a small village. Now the villagers themselves, even what to eat, the money to even eat, they don't have it. So in such a situation, how are they going to help themselves? By trying to build the road, make the road properly. So I want a little bit of clarification about if a leader is neglecting his duties, does the citizens have no what we call no role to play in putting the leader in the right course? Do the citizens just have to keep quiet because one is part of their karma and we can do nothing about it? We should just suffer our karma, or what do we have to do? I just want a little bit of an elaboration that what part does the citizen have to play in putting the leader on the right course?
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu, for that question. And the beauty of SRIMAD Bhagavatam is that it gives answer to any question. Every question, solution to all questions. Somewhere in 5th canto, it is mentioned that every citizen, every country, every nation get the type of the leader that they require because of their karma. So what is the first determinant factor of leadership? It is the citizens. So in the past, or those who are leading now and they are abusing leadership, what is the consequence? In the future, they will be put under this kind of leadership where also they will have excruciating hardship. But then we don't see deviation and we keep quiet. Scripture does not say that. Scripture tells us there's a point where you can reject, even guru. If you start doing the wrong things, you start acting contrary to the scripture. It didn't say you be docile or dormant. No, you must make effort. But first thing is, we should not think by power or by our own strength we can prevail. No, we must always depend on divine intervention. So the first thing we do is to be prayerful. We have to be praying for God to give us the understanding, the enablement, and the right attitude to approach the issue, and also for God to intervene through what you are about to act upon. If you depend on yourself alone, you will fail. So nobody has said you should not make any effort, but sometimes we are also beclouded that we think, no, I must do it. But we are not having the right consciousness to do it. And so we don't achieve the right results. Take the example of the Brahmanas who killed Vina. They were not quiet, they were disturbed. And what did they do? They contacted, they conscientized Vina, and when he was not yielding, they confronted him, they killed him. But look at one thing, the Brahmana did not kill Vina so that they become king. They kill Vina because they have genuine interest for society to be proper. And when they are finished killing Vina and they discover that miscreants, there was insurgency of miscreants, they themselves also, guided by the scripture, were able to know the right thing to do, and they were able to effect a permanent benefiting solution for the society. This is the little I can put into this. we have other senior devotees who may also contribute to buttress this, like your good self too. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace Ganga Prasad Prabhu, for the answer. Mother Saki, excuse me before you speak. I want to say something. Maybe that might also add to whatever you want to ask or say. And that is, yes, some people are talking so much about the passing away of the Queen Mother. And there are other very, very important issues going on, and it appears like it's silent now. But to me, it's natural. It's natural in human society that you may have some dire situation going on. And when another new dire situation comes up, we kind of brush the old one aside and then talk about the new one. So I do not find any issue with society mourning about the passing away of the Queen Mother. After all, we are the Hare Krishna group, and our way of governance is actually that of royalty. Like we have emperors, like Parikshit, Yudhishthira. So we don't have many emperors in the world. So if we have this one and she's passed on, I think it's worth talking about it, and it's worth honoring such a person. Hare Krishna. Madasaki, so you may go ahead and ask your question or make your comment.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to comment too much about my personal feelings about that, about her. And I'll just leave that. But I was, my question was something along the lines what Ganga Prasad Prabhu was saying about, when he was speaking about the government and the duty of the government. And it brought me back to thinking about the Mahabharata, and when they were told to kill Duryodhana when he was born because of all of the negative omens that came. And because they didn't kill him when he was born, all of the negative things that happened was because they didn't kill him. Had they killed him when he was born, none of those things would have happened. And just like his mother and his father, they were angry with Bhima and they wanted to kill Bhima. And they wanted to say all of these negative things about Bhima because he killed their 100 sons. But actually he did the world a favor. But his parents were angry, but if they would have just killed their son in the first place, they still would have had 99 sons. So I guess my question is like, if you do away with bad behavior in the first place, you won't have to deal with it later on.
Yeah, but you have to have what I learned is the whole course of our education gives us only two things: willpower and want power. You have to have enough of willpower and resolve to be able to do what is right. Integrity and character is not doing what people will applaud you for. But when you are not with anybody, you're alone, you do the right thing. So when people don't have willpower, they will not be able to, whether in public or in private, do the right thing. So killing of Duryodhana, if Dhritarashtra were not having weakness of heart, which he was mentioned to be spiritually and materially blind, If he was not spiritually and materially blind, he would have gotten the courage, the guts, and the willpower to do that. Vidura emphasized that from beginning. And even at the later part also, Vidura told him. And when Vidura said this and Duryodhana heard him, is when he insulted him and told him to get out of the palace. So from cradle until later, Vidura did not compromise that. But they were not able to do. So this is the point I want to bring out when I said, sometimes we think we can do, but we should not only depend on our own ability, but we should depend on God's empowerment that makes us capable. Because God is not looking for people who are able, actually. God is only looking for people who are available. Then he will exhibit his mysteries with those people. And we cannot be available for God when we want to do our own thing. We should be available for God, willing to do God's bidding. So they were there. He has his deprivation. He was supposed to be king. He didn't become king. He didn't forget it. It's there in his subconscious. It's burning. So to now tell him to kill his only hope to be heir apparent, it will not be easy for him. So we should look on all sides and be able to understand what is the weakness and what is the strength, and be able to know what to do. That's why I said we have to really, really be very, very prayerful to Krishna to make us worthy instruments to achieve his purpose.
Hare Krishna, thank you once again, His Grace. Narayani Devi, please, you may unmute. Narayani Devi, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Hare Krishna devotees. Hare
Hare
Krishna Ganga Prabhu.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you for your
Mataji.
wonderful class.
Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
I have one question which is bothering me that I want you to help me with that. In your lectures, you were mentioning about the prostitutes. So I want to find out about this. They always say prostitutes in the heavenly planet and stuff. Is it the same prostitute we have in this material world? I want to find out.
That's a very, very interesting question. Very nice question. And the answer is straight. From the literal meaning of prostitute, it means sleeping around. But the difference is some people are sleeping around out of duty, and some are sleeping around for promiscuity. The prostitute in the heavenly planets, their presence is to help those who are weak men, weak. They can't put themselves together. So leadership has made provision for them to do service. They are not doing it out of their own selfish interest or sensuality, but it is helping society. If you look at the purport of Prabhupada in the first canto, about Dwarka, I think chapter 11 or so, Prabhupada was mentioning that prostitutes, they have vital role to play, but there is an education that follows establishment of prostitute environments. Like today, you call them the red light zone, okay? The government policy of those days also make it like a red light place. That once you are seen around there, you already understood to be one of the weak citizens. And so their duty is to help you so that you can still be sane and not go berserk. Okay? So it is different from the society prostitute we have today, who they are just looking for every way to make money. They can do anything. Anything. The level of prostitution now is that here, there is statements that prostitutes are sleeping with dogs now to earn money. Okay? That is not the objective in a civilized Krishna conscious society. In Dwarka, there were prostitutes. So in the heavenly planets of Indra, they are society girls, but their role is not the kind that we have here now. I think that's how to simply put it. Does that
Thank
help
you
you
so
answer your
much.
question?
Yes, yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare
Well,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Narayani says your answer did
Thank you.
solve her question, but I have a follow-up question, because the answer you gave, of course, is beautiful, like Mother Narayani said, but it also leads to other questions. First is about what Mother Saki Devi was talking about Duryodhana. He was prophesied that he was going to be a thorn on the flesh of society. So the best thing is to abort him. Now, out of attachment or whatever, he was not aborted. So the question is, for us as devotees, we do not want to kill. And that's one of the reasons why we are vegetarians. Now, this is a very difficult topic, which actually is not discussed, because you don't go a nice way, whichever way you go. But the question I have is, which means that in those Vedic times, the expectation was that if you found someone who is going to be born and be causing problem to society, if the problem is so much that the society is going to suffer so heavily, then the best thing is to abort the child. Of course, in this case, Duryodhana was not aborted. But what about in the case of our world today, where somebody out of health issues has a problem with the fetus, and medically it is advised that the fetus must be aborted, or say should be aborted. And we have some politicians who say, no, under no circumstance should the fetus be aborted. Even if it is to the risk of the fetus itself or the mother, they still want the mother to carry the baby. What do we do as devotees if we have a devotee mother? May Krishna forbid, but if we have a devotee mother carrying a baby, and the baby has such a situation that if the baby is not aborted, if the fetus is not aborted, the fetus is going to die and the mother may also die. What do we do in such a situation? And then back to Mother Narayani's question. The prostitutes in the heavenly planets, they do that as a matter of duty, not simply they want to satisfy their carnal senses. Now, I watched a documentary in India where women are entering into prostitution because that is the only job they can do to earn money. So they do not go and steal and become a burden to society. So if someone is engaging in promiscuity, in sexuality, prostitution, out of poverty, out of the challenge that if I do not do this, I'm going to die. And they do not want to die. Nobody wants to die. And he or she does not want to steal. And is only engaging in that. She's not happy or enjoying whatever she's doing with the man, but because she needs the money, she's doing that. So can we also say that that is also as a matter of duty, and that such prostitutes are not to be frowned upon? So it's like two questions I have for you, Ganga Prasad Prabhu.
All right. And let me take from the last one.
Okay.
The last one is because society has become ungodly. So citizens are not provided for. And so they have to fly their plane or fly their kite. But then the consequence of their activities, the king will share from the reactions. They also will share from it. Okay? So there could be other alternatives if they diligently explore. They could do other things other than this. But because, you know, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Their mind is already locked into that. So they see that as the only way out. So we cannot condemn them. But we can only do our own part, which is what you see in the end of this purport. Towards the end of the purport of what we read here, that the citizens, he said, the priority of their king, the state, to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee. What does that mean? It doesn't matter what your vocation is, there must be facility to encourage you to get close to Krishna. And that's why devotees are there. You go give them prasadam, you give them books, you invite them to Sangha. You don't care about what they are doing, but find a way to help them. Because the magic wand is not in your hand. You are only a vessel. I don't know if that makes impact in that question. We should do our capacity to help them instead of worrying about what they are doing. Let us worry about how to help them. And so your first question, I oversight it. Can you remind me?
Oh, it's about abortion. And Duryodhana was advised to be aborted, but he wasn't, because the reason was he was going to be a thorn on the flesh of society. And so I'm asking this question because it's a very big issue here in the States, where some people do not want to see abortion done under any circumstance. And others also argue that certain situations or conditions should allow women to commit abortion.
All right. I think I get the question. I can recue what my intention was. The first thing is, as devotees, I think it is that in that book, Fortunate Soul, it is mentioned we have to live according to the law of the land. That's why Prabhupada uses the word time, place, circumstance. Every land have their laws, and to be a civil citizen, you have to live according to the law of the land. If you're in Rome, behave as the Romans do. But living the mundane conception, as devotees, the devotee is not scared of death, whichever way it comes. Because this body, now or later, will perish. They refused to abort Duryodhana, but Duryodhana was born premature. They refused to abort him. But out of envy of the mother, when Kunti gave birth first to Yudhishthira, she punched her stomach and she had miscarriage. That is almost near abortion. So when you don't do the right thing, nature will force you to do it. But then over and above that, if Duryodhana was not kept, Krishna's intention or instrument to get rid of all the ungodly kings by converging them in one place, it wouldn't have taken place. So we should be seen from all sides, the angle of the scripture and God's revelation, and our own understanding of what should be. When we marry both, we can now see what is best. But I started by saying in whatever condition, we should live according to the law of the land. And you made one other point that it's because not to kill that we became vegetarians. That is not true. To be a vegetarian, you're also killing. But we, as Krishna conscious, we are beyond being vegetarians. We are Krishnatarians. Only to take Krishna Prasad. And that's why I said you can liberate yourself from your mouth. One, use your mouth to chant Hare Krishna. And second, use your mouth to take Mahaprasadam. So this is my input. I don't know if it makes any contribution to your question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, thank you. Thank you for the answers. Anyone?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, please, yes.
Yeah, a follow-up question to the answer Ganga Prasad just gave. Says we are not just vegetarians, we are Krishnatarians. So what about if someone also argues that he's going to offer the meat to Krishna before he eats? Then what?
That's a good question. If you go to Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 and 20, where Krishna said, Patram Pushram Phalanto Yam, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. If Krishna wanted meat, he will tell you, but he has not said so. So wait.
Well, Hare Krishna, I don't think any of us, well, I wouldn't say any of us, but I'll use myself. I am nowhere close to the Pandavas. But the Pandavas were not vegetarian. The Pandavas were not vegetarian.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
And so they were personally working with Krishna, and they knew what Krishna wants and what Krishna doesn't want. Yet they were not vegetarians. But here I am being ordered by my spiritual master to be a vegetarian because that's what Krishna wants. So if Krishna does not want me to eat meat, why then was he okay when the Pandavas were not vegetarians? Not only the Pandavas, there were many great devotees of the Lord who are not vegetarians. So what do we do?
Thank you very much. We are making it become complex, and it may not lead us anywhere. So simply put, our circumstances are not the circumstances of the Pandavas. So we don't have to cue into the experience. But even in this, our own dispensation, there is a devotee that Prabhupada sent to preach in the Iceland. I don't know if you have read that story anywhere. And in Iceland, you don't get any vegetables or vegetarian food except flesh. And so Prabhupada sent him to go preach there. And when he asked Prabhupada that there's no food for him to eat, so what will he do to live there? Prabhupada said, eat what is there. And he asked Prabhupada, then what about my consciousness? Prabhupada said, who cares about your consciousness? Important thing is to execute the order of the spiritual master. Because even if there is sin, Krishna said, the reaction will be taken. But my own very cautious point is, let us wait until we are instructed on the contrary. Let us not do it out of our own intellectual deductions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you again. Salika Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ganga Prasad Prabhu, for the beautiful class and the beautiful responses to most of the questions that was asked. I just want to make a short contribution because this topic about vegetarian and not vegetarian just caught my attention, and I just felt I should share something. Actually, we're not Krishnatarian, neither are we vegetarians. Devotees most often times use that language, we are Krishnatarians, we're not vegetarians. We are neither Krishnatarian, neither are we vegetarians. And like Ganga Prasad said, vegetarians are still committing violence. And those who claim to be Krishnatarians also are also committing a serious apparat because we don't eat Krishna. Krishnatarian means that those who eat Krishna, and the vegetarians are those who eat vegetables. We are Prasadian. We we only hit mercy. We take mercy. That is what we take. So if we try to stay into the two divides, we'll get it wrong. We are Prasadian because we only take the mercy of the Lord. And that is what found the strong basis for our taking the verse quoted, 9:26. That is what makes it very solid point, because that is the mercy of the Lord. That is the Lord. Whatever the Lord gives is His mercy. So whatever the Lord gives to us is His mercy. So we are neither Krishnatarian, we're neither vegetarian. And if we take it from that perspective, then it becomes easy. And then the Pandavas, they are eating meat because that is what Krishna gives them. They are taking prasadam. They're not taking meat. They're not taking vegetables. They only took what Krishna offered them to take. So if we look at it from that perspective, it becomes easy to deal with. There are several stories also in the Puranas talking about different sages and the different devotees who have eaten different kinds of food. But if we take it from the perspective that a devotee only takes Krishna's mercy, then it becomes easy to deal with. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Salika Prabhu. Prabhu Sriman Vara Acharya is adding a comment in the chat room, and he said the Pandavas were Kshatriyas. The Dharma of Kshatriya allows them to kill for sporting or in battle. So eating meat isn't a sin for them, just like telling lies to make profit isn't a sin for Vaishya. This is a Prabhu's contribution, and I think all these inputs seal the question. Or is there any other lacuna to attend to?
And there is always lacuna, but we're not gonna go there. Madasaki, please unmute. Thank you for being here, His Grace Ganga Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
And Shumavara Prabhu, thank you for the contribution also.
Yes, I actually, it's so funny, like, you know how we always talk about Paramatma? We're all saying the same thing. Is I was just thinking like, well, that's a Kshatriya's nature to eat meat because it incites anger inside of them. That's why they eat meat, so that they can fight. But I was also thinking about when he was speaking about what Srila Prabhupada told the one Prabhu who was going to Iceland. Yeah, but I was thinking about what Bhaktisiddhanta said, Saraswati Thakur said to one of his disciples when he said, you know, they don't want to be vegetarian. And he said, then feed them fish and preach. You know, so it's like time, place, and circumstance. And just as Kali Yuga progresses, things are going to change for us too. I'm not going to say us because I don't plan on being here, but for people who are, you know, will be the devotees of the time, there'll be scarce vegetation, there'll be scarce things, and they will probably have no choice but to eat whatever's there. So like, according to time, place, and circumstance, things change. Like they're just details, you know, like rules. Narada Muni has broken all the rules for the devotees. So does Krishna. You know, in order to make someone a devotee, you know, just like when I was speaking about, I mean, everybody knows Mother Malati Prabhu's ex-husband, Shyam Sundar, when he was smoking a cigarette and he was carving Lord Jagannath, and Srila Prabhupada smacked the cigarette out of his hand. But like, think about that. He was in the presence of Srila Prabhupada, smoking a cigarette and carving Lord Jagannath. He made like 3 of the first sets of Jagannath deities that were ever in our movement. But just you have to understand, like, Krishna understands what we have, like what our vice is. And he'll put the right, like, I think it was Hari Chakra Prabhu who said, you know, I encountered a homeless man and I gave him money. And maybe it was his karma for him to meet me so I could, you know, somehow or other he got some mercy. But just like we have our vices, and Krishna puts people in our lives to change those things about us to make us better if we want that. But I just wanted to say that I think that was amazing how we were all thinking the same thing at the same time. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much, Mata.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Well, I hope lots I know some devotees who are not here at the moment, but I know some devotees who sometimes are seen on this platform, and some devotees who do not belong to this platform at all. And these devotees, of course, they are very respectable devotees. And sometimes they say that you do not have to give money, like Harichakra Prabhu was saying, early days when devotees drank, don't give money to beggars. They're going to use the money to smoke. They're going to use the money to buy meat. Do not give them food. They're going to have so much energy and go commit some crime. So just leave them alone. But at this point, some of us understand that that is very wrong. And from what Ganga Prasad Prabhu you shared with us, time, place, and circumstance, if one can only be prayerful and be blessed to use his intelligence properly, then one may be able to ascertain whether this beggar actually needs the money from me or not. Because we sometimes go too deep into things that are really unnecessary, and we refuse to live as human beings. We try to live as spirits, even though we are encased in this material body, which is very unhelpful, because we live in this society. And I think it was the same Ganga Prasad Prabhu you said in your remark, in your lecture, how we go and help others. Like, I think it's Saki too, like when there is hurricane, when there is natural disaster, devotees go and then help. And Ganga Prasad Prabhu, you said, yeah. But some devotees have been saying that you don't need to help such people. How do we want to be seen as a bona fide organization in society when we do not show any concern for the society when the society is in problem or difficulty? And so the leadership that we all look up to should help us in this regard. And thank you so much for the class, Ganga Prasad Prabhu.
Thank you. I like to sum this with one of Prabhupada's statements in his purport to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text number 10. In relation to what all this discussion we are discussing lately, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. That is purport to 10:10, the last para. But if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that the person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion, render all kinds of services, He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain him. I'm just rounding up with this, Prabhupada's purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. That is a very nice roundup. It shows how merciful the Lord is to all living entities. If you cannot do it this way, do it this way, and I will still accept. So we're never at a loss if we sincerely want to try. So His Grace Varaha Prabhu, let me see, is he still here? Shrimad Varaha Prabhu? Yes, Shrimad Varaha Prabhu, please, you have something to say before we bring the class to a close? Please do.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Can only thank Ganga Prasad Prabhu for his wonderful exposition. We learn so much every time he gives class. So I thank him for that. Hare Krishna.
I'm eternally
Hare-
grateful to
Thank you
you.
so much.
You are part of my inspirations and my role model. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Well, Krishna is so kind and merciful. Whatever technical difficulties you were having initially have all been resolved, and it's been going on smoothly, you know. So at this point, yes.
That is because Krishna within the heart gave me the intelligence to discard what was obstructing and make do with what is available simply. Thank
And
you.
at the same time, your intent desire to do the service. Krishna saw that. Says, okay, I just want to do the service. So Krishna says, okay, I will intervene. So at this point, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and then we chant a big Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation for Prabhu's presence and
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Rama Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Itana Pavana
Gautamati Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.